We are discussing about chapter 1 of Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Chapter 1 is Don't Try. Charles Bukowski was an alcoholic, a womanizer, and a chronic gambler, a lout, a cheapskate, and a deadbeat. And on his worst day, a poet. He is probably the last person on earth you would ever look to for life advice and respect to see in any sort of self help books, which is why he is the perfect place to start. Bukowski wanted to be a writer, but for decades his work was rejected by almost every magazine, newspaper, journal, agent, and publisher he submitted to. His work was horrible, they said, crude, disgusting, depraved, and as the stock of rejection slips built up, the weight of his failure pushed him deep into alcoholic fueled depression that would follow him for most of his life. Bukowski had a day job as a letter filler at a post office. He got paid shit money and spent most of it on booze. He gambled away the rest at the racetrack. At night he would drink alone, sometimes hammer out poetry on his beat up old typewriter. Often he'd wake up on the floor having passed out on the night before. 30 years went by like this, most of its meaningless blur of alcoholic, drugs, gambling, and prostitutes. Then, when Bukowski was 50, after a lifetime of failure and self-loathing, an editor at a small independent publishing house took a strange interest in him. The editor could not offer Bukowski much money or much promise of sale, but he had a weird affection for the drunk loser, so he decided to take a chance on him. It was the first real shot Bukowski had ever gotten, and he realized probably the only one he would ever get. Bukowski wrote back to the editor, I have one of two choices. Stay in the post office and go crazy, or stay out here and play at writer and starve. I had decided to starve. Upon signing the contract, Bukowski wrote his first novel in 3 weeks. It was simply called Post Office. In this dedication, he wrote, dedicated to nobody. Bukowski would make it as a novelist and a poet. He would go on publishing 6 novels, 100 of poems, selling over 2 million copies of his book. His popularity defied everyone exceptional, particularly his own. Stories like Bukowski are bread and butter of our culture narrative. Bukowski's life embodies the American's dream. A man fights for the what he wants, never gives up, and eventually achieves the wildest dream. It's particularly a movie waiting to happen. We all look at the stories like Bukowski and said, see, he never gave up. He never stopped trying. He always believed in himself. He persisted against all the odds and made something to him. It is then strange that on Bukowski's tombstone the afterword reads, don't try. See, despite the book sales and the fame, Bukowski was a loser. He knew it, and his success seemed not for some determination to be a winner, but for the fact that he knew he was a loser, accepted it, and then wrote honestly about it. He never tried to be anything other than what he was. The genius in his Bukowski work was not in overcoming unbelievable odds and developing himself if into a shining light, a rare light. It was opposite. He was simple ability to be completely unflinchingly honest and himself, especially the worst part of himself, and to share his feeling without hesitation or doubt. This is the real story of Bukowski's success, his comfort with himself as a failure. Bukowski did not give a fuck about success. Even after his fame, he still showed up the poetry, reading, hammered, and vulnerably abused people in his audience. He still exposed himself in public and tried to sleep with every woman he could find. Fame and success did not make him a better person, nor was it by becoming a better person what he became famous and successful. Self-improvement and success often occur together, but that does not necessarily mean they are the same thing. Our culture today is obviously focused on unrealistic positive expectation. Be happier, be healthier, be best, better than the rest. Be smarter, be faster, be richer, be sexier, more popular, more productive, more involved, more admired, be perfect, amazing, grab our 12 gun and 12 carat gold nuggets before breakfast each morning while kissing your selfie ready spouse and 2.5 kids goodbye, then fly your helicopter to your wonderfully fulfilling job where you spend your day going incredibly meaningful. What that literally to save the planet on one day. But when you stop really think about it's conventional life advice. All the positivity, happy, self-help stuff we hear all the time. It's actually fixating on what you lack. It laser on what you perceive, your personal shortcoming and failures be to already be, and then emphasizes them from you. You learn about the best way to make money because you feel you don't have enough money already. You stand in front of the mirror, repeat affirmations saying that you are beautiful because you feel as though you are not beautiful already. You follow dating and relationship advice because you feel that you are unlovable already. You try goofy visualization exercises about being more successful because you feel as though you are not successful already. Ironically, this fixation on the positive, on what better, what superior, only serves to remind us over and over again that we are not of what we lack, of what we should be, but fail to be. After all, no truly happy person feels the need to stand in front of the mirror and decide that she is happy. She just is. They're saying in Texas, the smallest dog barks the loudest. The confident man does not feel a need to prove that he is confident. A rich woman does not feel to need to convince anybody that she is rich. Either you are or you are not. If you are dreaming of something all the time and you are reinforcing the same unconscious reality over that you are not. Everyone and that TV commercial want you to believe that a good life is a nicer job and a more operated girlfriend, a hot tub with an inflatable pool of other kid. The world is constantly telling you that the path to be better life is more and more, be more, own more, make more, fuck more, be more. You are constantly bombarded with messages to give a fuck about everything all the time. Give a fuck about a new TV. Give a fuck about a better vacation than your cover. Give a fuck about buying the new lawn ornament. Give a fuck about the right kind of selfie stick. Why? I guess because giving a fuck about more stuff is good for business, and while there's nothing wrong with good business, the problem is that giving too many fuck is bad for your mental health. It causes you to become overly attached to the superficial and fake, to dedicate your life to chasing a mirage of happiness and satisfaction. The key to good life is not giving a fuck about more, it's giving a fuck about less, giving a fuck about only what is true and immediate and important. The feedback loop from hell. And there is an insidious quirk to your brain that if you let in car drive you absolutely but tell me if the sound familiar to you. You get anxious about comforting somebody in your life. That anxious cripples you. You start wondering why you are so anxious. Now you are becoming anxious about being anxious. Oh no, doubtly anxious. No, you are anxious about your anxiety, which is causing more and more anxious. Quick, where is the whiskey? So let's say you are an anger problem. You get pissed off at the stupidest, most insane stuff, and you have no idea why. And the fact that you get pissed off so easily start to piss off when you even more. And then in your pity day you realize that being angry all the time make you shallow, a mean person, and you hate this. You hate it too so much that you get angry at yourself. No, look at you, you are angry and yourself getting angry about being angry. Fuck you all. Here I have a fist. You are so worried about doing the right thing all the time that you become worried about how much you are worried. Yeah. Or you feel so guilty of every mistake you make that you begin to feel guilty about how guilty you are feeling. Or you get sad alone so often that it makes you feel even more sad and alone just thinking about it. Welcome to feedback loop from health. Chances are you have engaged in it more than a few times. Maybe you engage in right now. God, I do a feedback loop all the time. I am such a loser for doing it. I should stop. Oh my god. I feel like such a loser for calling myself a loser. I should stop calling myself a loser. Oh fuck. I'm doing it again. See, I'm loser. Ah. Calm down, amigo. Believe it or not, this is a part of the beauty of human being. Very few animals on earth have the ability to think cogent thoughts and to begin with, but we humans have the luxury of being able to have thoughts about our thoughts. So I can think about watching Billy Curious video on YouTube and then immediately think about what a sicko I am wanting to watch Millie Curious videos on YouTube. Ah, the miracle of unconsciousness. Now here is a problem. Our society today, though the wonders of consumer culture, hey, look, my life is cooler than yours. Social media has bred a whole generation of people who believe that having this negative experience, anxiety, fear, guilt, that's is totally not okay. It mean if you look at your feed, everybody there is having a fucking grand old time. Look, 8 people got married this week, and some 16-year-old on TV got a Ferrari for her birthday. And another kid just made $2 billion inventing an app that automatically delivers you more toilet paper than you run out. Meanwhile, you are stuck at home flossing your cat. And you can't help but think your life suck even more than you thought. The feedback loop from hell has become a borderline epidemic, making many of us overly stressed, overly neurotic, overly self-loathing. Back in grandpa days, he would feel like he'd think to himself, "See, whiz, I sure do. I like a cow today." But hey, I guess that just like back to shoveling. But now if you feel like shit for even 5 minutes, you are bombarded with 350 images of people totally happy and having an amazing fucking life. And it is impossible to do not feel like that there is not something wrong with you. It is the last part that gets you in trouble. We feel bad about feeling bad, we feel guilty for feeling guilty, we get angry about getting angry, we get anxious about feeling anxious. What is wrong with me? This is why not giving a fuck is so key. This is why it's going to save the world, and it's going to save it by accepting that what is totally fucked and it's all right, because it always been that way and always be. But not giving a fuck that you feel bad, you short circuit the feedback loop from hell. You say to yourself, I feel like shit, but who gives you a fuck? And then I sprinkled by magic forgiving fairy dust, you stop hating yourself for feeling so bad. George Orwell said that to see what in front of one nose requires a constant struggle. Well, the solution to our stress and anxiety is right there is in front of our nose, and you are too busy watching porn advertisement of a machine that don't work, wondering why are not banging a hot blonde with rocking six-pack to notice. We joke online about first world problem, but we really have become victims of our own success. Stress-related health issues, anxiety disorder, and cause of depression have skyrocketed over the past 30 years, despite the fact that everyone has a flat screen TV and have their groceries delivered. Our crisis is no longer material, it's existential, it's spiritual. We have so much fucking stuff and so many opportunities that we don't even know what to give a fuck about anymore, because there is an infinite amount of things we can now see or know. There is always an infinite number of the ways we can discover that we don't measure up, that we are not good enough, that things are not as great as they could be. But this rips as part inside, because here are the things that's wrong with all how to be very happy. Shit that has been shared 8 million times on Facebook in the past few years. Here's what nobody realizes about all this crap. The desire for more positive experience is itself a negative experience, and paradoxically, the acceptance of one negative experience is itself a positive experience. This is a total mind fuck. So I will give you a minute to unspiritualize your brain and may you read that again and again. Wanting positive is a negative experience, and accepting negative experience is a positive experience.